Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, or whatever day it is that you're watching this, if you're watching it on the replay. Today I'm going to talk to you about the power of morning practice to shift us out of sort of our chronic default stress patterns and move us into a place of empowered vitality and intention and living our life as our best self. So, before we begin the content, the teaching, we'll take a deep breath in through our nose. Exhale, let it go. Hi, Kathleen, welcome. Good morning. So good to see you. I love seeing you on these threads, on these videos. I really appreciate your presence. Hi, Nancy, welcome. So, morning practice. You know, whether or not you're a morning person, you're here. Yes, me too. So whether or not you're a morning person, it is irrelevant around what I'm going to talk about here, because I'll often sometimes I hear that from my clients when I give them the guidance of creating a morning practice, which I help them do. But I'll talk a little bit about why that's so important, and my intention here is to inspire you to start doing some sort of morning practice. So if we don't have a morning practice, we wake up, likely the first thing we're doing is checking our phone, and what we're doing is we're just reacting to life. So we wake up, and if we don't have a practice, we're automatically kicked into sort of rehashing and reliving whatever was going on yesterday. We get into other people's agendas, we get into other people's plans, we get into our inbox, and we start checking our messages. And Brendon Burchard talks a lot about this. The motivational coach Brendon Burchard, who's amazing, he talks about the importance of a morning practice. And honestly, I think anyone who we can look at and say, God, they're really happy and successful in their life. Oprah, Brendon Burchard, me. I'm losing awareness right now of the people, my teachers. Any of the teachers that I've known that I've really looked up to and admired, they all have a morning practice. And to live our best life, to live a life, where we feel not completely, but we feel really engaged and satisfied and happy, joyful in our life, we need to live with intention. If you're just living on, in default, then what you're doing is you're living, which is to live not in intention, right? Let me talk a little bit about default mode. So default mode is sort of reacting out of your habitual patterns that you've probably developed when you were a long time ago when you were small. I mean, honestly, we're, up until we get conscious and intentional in our life, we sort of wake up to this healing work, into this healing path. We're a sort of a conglomeration of the people that we lived with as kids. So whatever patterning the people that you lived with had, whatever kinds of stuff however they responded or reacted to life, that's likely the patterning that you learned. And that the default mode comes along with behavioral patterns, thought patterns, and those all create a certain alchemy in the body. Negative thoughts, likely, a lot of these default modes are negative. So they're negative thoughts, negative emotions. And over time, if we don't wake up out of them, they wreak havoc on our physical body. So many of us suffer from chronic stress illnesses, and so not that that's our fault. I've had them too. At one point in my life, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which I kind of, I don't have any of those symptoms anymore. And part of my process for overcoming those was creating a morning practice for myself. So that's default. And so like clearly you don't want to live from there, right? You don't want to live from patterns of reactivity, right? And so you don't want to live in patterns of anger or resentment or, depression or anxiety. These kind of chronic negative mind and heart states create a certain behavioral sort of patterning where we're viewing the world and responding or reacting to it through a particular lens that's distorted. I hope this is making sense. The way out of that isn't to get rid of it, because these patterns, they're wired in our nervous system. And so the way to actually move out of it is to get more intentional and mindful. Mindfulness itself is this momentary awareness of what's happening in this moment within us and or outside of ourselves without being for or against it. And so when we have mindfulness, we might notice these negative mind and heart states arising, but we're less likely to get hooked by them. And in that space, we create this this capacity to choose. If I'm this morning is a good example. And this morning is a good example of my not being as dedicated to my morning practice as usual. I've been busy with work. And so I found work sort of sneaking into my morning routine, and it's thrown me off. Like we were running late today. And whenever I'm running late, I feel like anxious and edgy, and I'm worried about getting the kids to school on time. And I start to get, this feeling like you got tense and tight, and then you're quick to react, and you're quick to bite someone's head off, or you're just quick to, you're just irritated, right? And so I could feel that in me. I'm brushing Soli's hair, Arthur's reading a book and asking me about, words and how to say them. And I'm like, I can feel myself getting short. But before it comes out of my mouth, because I have my intention and I've set my intention for the day through my morning practice, I take a breath. Literally, this is what I did. I took a breath. I relaxed my body. It took like a millisecond. And then I was able to respond to him appropriately, from the place that I want to respond, so I could speak to him calmly, holding my irritation with mindfulness. And so morning practice, let's talk a little bit about how to do that and why it's important. So when you wake up in the morning, cortisol is at its highest. That's the stress hormone. And so, especially if you suffer from anxiety, chronic anxiety, like I have in the past, it's just really important for you to establish a self-care routine that begins right away. Because you know how it is, once the morning gets going and you're not in your optimal headspace or heart space or body space, the whole day is actually influenced by how the morning is, right? So studies show that we're 30% more productive if we don't check our email, for example, within the first hour of waking up. And so not just more productive, but we're happier. I know for myself and all of the clients I've ever worked with and all of the people that I've ever talked to about this, when we're doing our morning practice, our whole day goes so much better. And when we do it in the morning, we're more likely to do it. And when I say practice, I know we leave it for later, likely, we'll make excuses as to not doing it. So all of us know this about working out, right? And I'm not talking about working out, although working out is really important. It's something I do almost every morning after my morning practice. What I'm talking about is something that connects you to your soul, that connects you to your spirit, that connects you to your deepest intention as a human being for how you want to be in your life. What could be more important than that? And so when we wake up in the morning, it's important that, we take a moment. Sometimes you have to get up a little earlier, and that might require you to really look at your how you're living your days and, what you can do to get enough sleep so that you can wake up earlier. I'll be totally honest. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, almost every morning. And unless I'm sick, and or at a time when I was drinking, I couldn't wake up at 4:30 in the morning anymore. And that's another video. but now I do. And I'm not saying you have to wake up that early, but likely you need to give yourself at least a half an hour in the morning for you, especially if you're a mom. And because if you're a mom, you might think even more that you don't have time for this, but I'm telling you, you need to make time for it, because it'll just make you so much happier and so much more sane. So wake up a little earlier. Give yourself some time to, I get up, go to the bathroom. Sometimes I put splash water on my face. I never, it's not always hard, but it's often hard. Like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, and I recall, Suzuki Roshi, I think he said, just put your feet on the floor. So that's all you have to do, just one step at a time. So I put my feet on the floor. So that's important, just put one foot, just get up, right? I think that Nike commercial, do you remember that one where it was like, just do it? And she was like sleeping in her bed and thinking about running, and her mind was saying like, but you had salad last night. And you might not remember this commercial at all, but I do. And but she still got her ass up and put her shoes on and went running in the morning. So we have to, kind of move through that, like put on our big girl pants or boy pants and like take care of ourselves even when it's a little uncomfortable. We can't always be like looking for comfort. That's not a formula for a really happy and fulfilling life, actually. Not, at least in my experience and a lot of other people's experience, we gain the most kind of satisfaction and joy in our life when we engage in those things that push us or help us to grow. And so this might be that for you. And then I've left a link in the comment above this video for a meditation that I recommend that I'm offering for you guys to do. It's just recorded. It's on YouTube. If you do use it, it would be awesome if you could subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. and so to my channel, but you can click on that link, and it's a really, really good meditation for intention setting in the morning and just kind of like dialing into your deeper self. So the deeper self doesn't live in default. And when we have a morning practice, what we're doing is we're connecting to the one within who knows. Now, you might doubt that you have a one within who knows. That's okay. We all doubt that. What we do is we take a step forward in faith and trust, and we practice the experiment. Meditation has been proven time and time and time again to increase our levels of health and wellness in all areas of our life. I mean, the benefits of it are extensive, like so many: better sleep, better relationships, better productivity at work, higher focus, greater happiness, less physical pain. Just Google it, benefits of mindfulness meditation, and you'll just be astounded. And that's because what it does is it drops you out of where default mode lives, which is in your head. It drops you out of your head and starts to connect you to something beyond your thinking. So as you meditate, thoughts will still arise. Like, don't get discouraged by that. Your mind might be busy as all get out. Sometimes mine is. I wake up and it's like, whew, my mind is just full. And other times not so much, but I'm not really that bothered by my mind anymore because I've been meditating for so long. I don't take it that seriously, but that's something that we develop. Our capacity for that develops over time in practice. So get up, have a practice. Meditation is wonderful. The one I'm suggesting is 15 minutes long, not too bad. And then if you have a little extra time, something I have all of my clients do is a journaling practice where you just do a mind dump in your journal or on a piece of paper. And you can start with the journal prompt. I'm talking fast. I hope this is helpful. With a journal prompt, what's true for me now is. What's true for me now is. And then you just write whatever's on your mind, especially the icky stuff. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, or if you're dreading anything about your day, get it out on paper. It'll get you so much clearer for the rest of your day. I can't tell you enough how valuable this is. You just have to practice it to see what I'm talking about. And don't just practice it once. You got to practice it consistently over a good period of time. Like the clients that I have that work with me, they're working with me for at least 3 months. And that's because that's how we begin to rewire our nervous systems. So as you, and your brain, so as you practice these things, you're dropping out of the default mode of your thinking mind, and you're starting to come into contact with something that is deeper than that, lives in the body. You might even call it your internal guidance system or your inner knowing. People often ask me, well, how do I tap into that? And I always respond meditation, because that's the way that I've done it. And so there was a time in my life when I didn't have a morning practice, and my life was completely on default mode. And a lot of you know my story, and I was having panic attacks and just really unhappy. Gosh, I think back and I'm like, I was so scared and frightened all the time. Though I looked really good on the outside. Like, I looked together. I was functioning. I could handle life, but I was bereft and empty inside. And then I found meditation practice, and I started practicing in the mornings. That's what my teacher told me to do. And it changed my life. It didn't happen overnight, but it definitely transformed my life. And if you do it consistently, it will change you. It will change you. And it's like, I can't tell you in words how that happens. It's like an experiment. You have to try it yourself and see what I'm talking about. Right? I've never met a person that I've worked with that's gone through this practice and process consistently over a period of time who doesn't tell me that's changed their life. Of course, for the better. So, and then once you get intentional about your morning, right, it changes and affects the way you look at the day. And so, you know, the way I walk into a meeting, or the way I'm talking to the kids, or the way I meet Myron, my husband, when he comes home from work, is so different because I've set this intention for my day. Yes, today I'm, you know, committed to extending as much, you know, kindness and confidence and ease, inner ease as possible, you know. It's nice to connect to 2 or 3 qualities in the morning that you want to embody for your day. And then whenever you forget and you feel yourself riled up, like I did when I was doing my daughter's hair this morning, feeling rushed because this week I had let go of my morning practice a little bit, and it definitely showed. And actually is even more inspiring for me to talk to you about this so that I don't have egg on my face and I start like really get hunkering down. It's not that I've still meditated this morning. I still did my writing. I still did my inspirational reading. But I just kind of, I don't usually look at my phone. That's another thing. So I turn my phone off, or I don't sleep with it by my bed. I put it away. And I, you know, because I've been busy with work, I've like got my phone out and I was like kind of doing work, and it just, it actually threw me off. And I'm noticing, I'm like, you know, I gotta be more dedicated to my practice. And I know for me, no, like emails or work, I prefer not until I get my kids off to school. So I hope that helps you today. I hope that inspires you to begin a morning practice. And do check out that link that I included in the notes above this video. And it is Friday here, and so I wish you all like a wonderful, blessed weekend. And if you're on the replay, whatever day this is for you, I wish you well today. And I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. Give me a thumbs up or comment below if this served you, if this was helpful, and I'll see you soon. Namaste. I love you.